Hello everyone, how are you? Thanks again for watching this video. If you like it, please subscribe, share and comment with your requests or challenges. I hope you all remember my video about painting like Van Gogh in watercolor and gouache. You can find it here if you haven't seen it yet. The response was tremendous and some people asked me to show if painting with acrylics would change anything. Well, not really, but you would need to adapt a few things. So, if you are ready for a part 2, let's go. Van Gogh is well known for his stick in pastels and his use of colors. While his vibrant colors can be done with almost any medium, using acrylics can certainly help for the texture of the paint and give a depth that you can't achieve with watercolor. Also, watercolor being transparent, you need to paint from the light to the dark, whereas with gouache, acrylics or even oil paint, you are able to paint from the dark to the light. Finally, watercolor or gouache can be reactivated by water, which means that when you paint over them, the colors will tend to mix a bit, naturally obtaining a different shade. To get the same effect with acrylic, you will either need to paint a la prima, which means when the paint isn't dry, but acrylic dries quite fast, either mix your colors beforehand or play with the transparencies. Well, with this in mind, let's see how we can adapt the previous video to acrylic paints. If you remember, we did the sketch first and then we tinted our canvas. The issues here is that acrylic is not as transparent as watercolor and you wouldn't see your sketch anymore. So let's start by tinting. I've said it many times, but tinting your canvas is very important for several reasons. First of all, it gives, not only by transparency, but also because you will compare your colors to the background while painting, a kind of glow, a general ambiance, if you will. For Van Gogh, we need something bright, solar, but still earthy. So I chose yellow ochre. You just have to spread it over the whole canvas without being too precious about it. Tinting your canvas will give, in general, a better color balance because you will not see your colors in the middle of a stark white canvas, and you should get a better color judgment for this. Finally, especially with this style of painting with little touches of paint overlapping, you will avoid having a harsh white point playing peekaboo between two brush strokes. So for this one I decided to do a self-portrait since nobody was available to pose for me. I know I've been criticized in the past for using tracing methods in my painting, so I decided to draw everything by hand based on a photo that I took with a straw hat, a jacket and one of my pipes. And that's when my camera decided not to record the sketch. So you'll have to trust me on this one. Keep your sketch loose, just like your brush strokes later. One little trick to keep your hand loose is to hold your pencil or your brush from the tip, so the head can move freely on the canvas. So, with a semi-fine brush, not too fine, but not a wide one either, trace your contours using, let's say, blue and red, but green and orange or mauve and yellow can also work in theory. The idea is to trace everything coming towards you in a warm color and everything going away from you in a cold color. There will be places where it can be a bit of a draw and you can feel free to mix your colors to get something neutral. Okay, for this, I find it easier to dilute your colors a bit, just to give a kind of tint, a dye, but not a strong color. You will mark the shadows on your object with their complementary color. I explain why we use complementary colors for shadows in my video about Seurat. The link is here and in the description. Use a color chart if it helps. The hat is yellowish, so I use purple. The face is orangey, so I use blue. I would use green for something red, etc., etc. These are only guidelines, and you don't have to use the exact shade of complementary color. You can be as precise or as broad as you want. The main idea is to have a base color that is opposing the main color of the object. Okay, now using a small brush compared to the size of the canvas, apply the actual color of each part of the portrait with small dashes of color, not really touching each other, but not too far either. You should be able to see a bit of the background between each stroke and create the illusion of a single color surface. These dashes are thick, the paint is almost not diluted. Be daring and bold. Use the color you see, not the ones you know are there. If a part of the face appears green, do it green. Don't go and think about it. Follow your eyes. And don't be afraid if you make mistakes, you can always paint over them. Also, consider that Van Gogh's strokes were linear and directional. They not only followed each other like the dot of a dotted line, but they also followed the orientation of the surface they represent. Also, don't overmix your colors when doing this, so you can have variations here and there to add texture and interest. As much as you can, try to leave some of the blue and red tracing apparent, as it will keep giving this 3D effect we were talking about. Now, in a dark color, but not black, a deep mauve or maroon would be perfect. Come and outline slightly the places where lines are going under other objects to give a bit of the feeling of a shadow there. You can also correct a bit the shapes of things that change a bit due to your dashes and give a bit more shape to some objects or part of the whole portrait. Don't overdo it. We don't want to end up with a coloring book. But this little line should be there to give some structure in the kaleidoscope of colors you have just created. Finally, with a very bright color, white for example, or a very light version of the main color of your object, come and place the reflection of light on your subject, where the sun kisses the cheek, the little dot of light in the eye, the flare on a metallic object. And there you have it, a Van Gogh inspired portrait. Please post your work on social media using the hashtag MGFCPaint for My Geek Family Cotton Paint, so I can see what you have been doing and feature them here. Don't hesitate to send me your requests and challenges in the comments, and I will see you guys next time. Cheers!